Good morning. If I could have everyone's attention, we are going to go ahead and get started with our media availabilities today. We are joined by Kyle Larson, driver of the number 42 McDonald's Treat and Win Chevrolet. I'm going to go ahead and dive in. Thanks for joining us, Kyle, and open up the floor to questions. Start right up front with Bob, and then we'll go to Claire.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. Do you know what the basis of your appeals are in this, and how do you feel if you end up having a 36-point deficit going into Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know much about the appeal stuff. I kind of just drive the race car. Obviously, 10-point penalty doesn't help, but I felt like with even being 26 points back, we're going to probably have to go into this week, and get a win to make it to the next round. So it doesn't really mean much to me, the 10 points, like I said, just because, I view this weekend, or viewed it before, that we had to come in here and win.
Go to Claire.
Claire Beelang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Two quick things. Are they going to appeal the penalty from your team to the higher level?
I have no idea.
No idea? And your comments last week after the race were particularly honest, and you were frustrated about, more attention not being paid to the restrictor plate track, or more money not being spent, or whatever. Well, what are your thoughts about all of that moving now into Kansas and beyond, and kind of more about what you meant when you said that?
I've always been a pretty honest person, and it gets me in trouble here and there. But, I don't know. Last weekend was just a frustrating weekend, and, there's a lot of, stress that goes into the playoffs. So, we'll just move into Kansas, and it's a place that I really love coming to. It's probably one of my top three or four favorite tracks to run throughout the season. So, and I feel like it's one of our best tracks too. So I'm actually, excited coming into this weekend, being behind, because the 2 years that, I've been knocked out of the playoffs, going to the cutoff race, we felt like we were pretty good in points, and not even thinking about, missing, the round. And we had a battery fallout at Dover, and then blew an engine up here last year. So at least this weekend we know what we have to do, and I'm excited about that.
Were you frustrated with Chip and or the team, or the moment last week?
I don't know. Just frustrated with how far off we were. Basically is it.
We're going to go in the back to Jerry and then over to Nick.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires.net and PRN. I was going to ask you a little bit along those lines about coming into this weekend with the deficit that you have. How much pressure does that put on you coming to a track that we all know that you like?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I feel excited about it. I was a little bummed after Talladega, obviously, and then flying home. I just got really excited about where we're headed to this weekend. So I honestly feel like there's no pressure, really. I think there's always more pressure to not make mistakes, and cost yourself the spot where you're already in the playoffs or into the next round, and then you're so worried about not making a mistake, where in our position or we know what we have to do, and we can be aggressive. I can run hard all race long. I can race with little care, I guess, and our team can make probably aggressive pit calls if their opportunity was there. I think it's a cool position to be in. Obviously, it'd be a little easier, I think, if we were 26 above the cut line, but at least we know what we have to do.
And also, how's the married life been?
Married life's been no different, honestly. I don't know. I think when you already have 2 kids before you get married, it's no different.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. I know you said no matter what with the penalty, you'd enter this weekend thinking it was a must-win, but do you also kind of look at it and say, hey, we finished 11th, so with a 10-point penalty, it's a lot better than if we had not gotten that damage fixed and we ended up finishing like 39th or 40th?
I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter either way. Last weekend's last weekend. So, I think if you had a 26-point gap, you could say you're to win both stages or something. That would put you back in it. Depending on what kind of race Truex and Boyer and all those guys have. But yeah, I don't know. We'll just go out there Sunday and run hard, and hopefully it all works out.
Go over to Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Kyle, how close do you think you were to winning here in May?
In May, I felt really, really good. I made a mistake in qualifying and spun, and we had to change tires, and drove to the front pretty easily in the race and won the second stage. Past guys like Kevin Harvick and Busch and Truex, and Blaney was really good that day. Then Harvick passed me on one of the later restarts, and then then Blaney and I got together, and then we had to repair damage and stuff, and then was still able to recover and have some good restarts at the end to get to fourth. So I felt like we had the best car that day. I felt like me, Harvick, and Blaney were all pretty equal, and kind of whoever could get out front was a little bit better. So yeah, I mean, like I said, looking at the run that we had earlier this year and runs we've had in the past, I'm excited that Kansas is a place where we have to go and get a win. If Talladega was the cutoff race, I would be less confident, I guess. But with it being Kansas, I'm really excited.
And then what you said last week at Talladega about the fact that you guys focus less on plate tracks, more mile-and-a-half tracks, does that set you up well for this race and the rest of the season if things play out well and you advance? And did your team have any feedback, any plans to focus more on plate tracks in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at Chip Ganassi Racing, at least since I've been here, mile-and-a-halfs have been our best tracks. So, and especially I feel like the smooth, kind of high grip places, like Kansas and Michigan's 2-mile track, but I feel like these places are pretty similar. So yeah, I mean, I think all that kind of adds confidence when you come to Kansas. So we'll just see how it goes, and I know we'll be fast and we'll lead laps and things like that. So we just got to try and capitalize and have a good race.
We're going to go in the back to MRN and then to Lee.
Rich Colbert, Motor Racing Network. Next week we go to Martinsville. That's a truck that you've struggled with. Is it a place that you're having trouble with as a driver? Is it just the car setup? What is it that we look at as we go to that track next week?
I mean, I think it's definitely all me. I feel like whenever we go to Martinsville and why we struggle, it's just a difficult place for me for whatever reason. Maybe we don't have the best race car or setup there, but I feel like I'm worse than what the potential of our car is. So, because even Jamie's kind of fallen off maybe a little bit at Martinsville the last couple of years, but even when he was running good there, I was still running like 25th. So, I work really hard on trying to get better there and all that, but for whatever reason, I struggle bad.
Lee?
Lee Spencer, RacingBoys.com. I have to ask, after hearing your comments, post-race comments, I know that's the heat of the moment, and it's probably when you're frustrated most, but do you really feel like you can reach your potential in NASCAR with Chip Ganassi Racing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be there if I didn't think that I could, and I like being in that kind of spot where you're with a team that has a smaller budget probably than your Stewart Haas's or your Penske and Hendrick and Gibbs, and we can compete with them. So I get a great satisfaction out of running and competing with those teams and beating them often. So yeah, I mean, and like I said, I wouldn't be with Chip if I didn't think that we could win championships or have the potential to win races and championships. So I love it there, and yeah, like I said, I wouldn't waste my time if I didn't think that we had the potential to do something good.
And as solid as you guys were out of the box at the start of the year, you kind of carried the banner for Chevrolet. Has everybody else just caught up with you guys at this point?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, our team did a really good job with the transition in bodies through the off season to start this year. I felt like we were definitely the best Chevy team for a while, and then seemed like the Hendrick teams and even RCR got a lot faster midpoint of the season, and then we got better too. I mean, everybody's making their stuff better, but maybe our gap to get better was or tougher than theirs. But and we still have good speed. We've just been a little inconsistent the last couple weeks. So, we ran second like 6 times this year and led the most laps in a handful of those races, and just haven't gotten the wins. So, just gotta be able to close these races out better than I have here this season.
Do we have any final questions for Kyle? Come right back up front, and then we'll go to the back with Chris.
Bob Parker, ESPN. Casey last week announced they couldn't race Cup anymore because of the dehydration
He could probably race this week.
Yeah, he is racing this
freezing.
week.
I'm saying at Kansas.
Oh, he probably could. I mean, do you have any without them knowing exactly what caused it, do you have any concerns like, oh my gosh, this could happen to me or anything like that?
No, I mean, you never, I guess the selfish part about life is you never really think that anything can happen to you until it does. So, yeah, I haven't thought about that or anything like that. But, yeah, I'm just glad Casey can still race. Even though it's not, NASCAR, he gets to have fun and you'll run the shorter stuff with the sprint car racing things. So, it's definitely crazy that Casey, being probably one of the top 3 fittest guys in our sport, has a dehydration problem, but he feels fine. He's like nothing's wrong, until he gets inside the car and he's just can't control his sweat and his heart rate. So I'm jealous that he's racing at my favorite racetrack this weekend, one of my favorite events too. So we'll be tuned in watching him and all my friends race out there in California.
We'll wrap it up with Chris.
Chris9catchfence.com. Kyle, you said pretty outspoken last weekend that you were frustrated about your restrictor plate program, but is there anything else at Ganassi that is concerning you towards the end of 2018 and looking into 2019?
No, I mean, I think we're just focused on trying to, do what we can this weekend to make it into the next round. So, yeah, I mean, that was just a frustrating weekend being that far off, and we've never been that far off anywhere, in my Cup career. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we're just ready for Kansas, and then hopefully if we win this weekend, we'll move on to Martinsville, somewhere I struggle at, where, like I said earlier, I feel like I'm the reason why we don't run well there, and then Texas, we could win at, and Phoenix we ran well at too, and then Homestead is probably my best track. So we'll just move on from last week and try and do what we can to win a championship.
Well, thank you for coming in and joining us, Kyle. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.